the provincial. Yeah, thanks very much, colleagues, and good afternoon or evening. The Provincial Secretary of the ANC, Comrade Ruben Madaji, Comrade Rogers Munama, the Provincial Executive Committee member of the African National Congress, and yourselves, members of the media. We have convened you here today just to reflect around the outcomes of the ANC Limpopo Special Provincial General Council. It was a Provincial General Council that is convened to solicit of branches of the ANC as we are preparing towards the National Policy Conference. Branches of the ANC in the province of Limpopo have made their own proposal as far as policy issues are concerned and other matters that are affecting the African National Congress. You can ask questions and the leadership, both of them, will then be able to reply accordingly. Comrade Provincial Secretary, here our colleagues from the media, you may then take them through what were the key highlights of this special Provincial General Council.
No, thank you very much, our spokesperson, Comrade Jimmy Machaka, and also let me appreciate and welcome members of the media to Limpopo. We convened the Special Provincial General Council specifically to deal with issues that we're going to discuss at the National Policy Conference. Because as the province, we wanted to try and consolidate our approach and our view as the province on a number of issues. But I know that the media might be interested in 2 or 3 issues that are very key that have been resolved here. But we have resolved on a number of issues that also include the issue that affects the socio-economic positions of our people, and also the issues that has to do with how one of our own Comrade Big Moses Maluleke, the mayor of Collins Shabane, who was brutally murdered by the unknown people, and the special PGC re-emphasize that law enforcement agencies must speed up their processes and make sure that the perpetrators are brought to justice. But we have also touched on the issue of ESCOM, that as the province, we're not happy on how the board and the ESCOM are handling issues of energy, specifically with regard to the issue of load shedding. And we think as the province, we may want to lobby the conference that the board and the management of ESCOM must be held liable and responsible and accountable with regard to the issue of load shedding, irrespective of whatever explanation that they are giving to the country. But we must then start to hold them accountable, because we are now realizing that it's like the board and ESCOM wants to normalize load shedding. As Limpopo, we are very clear on the issues of load shedding, and the special PGC re-emphasize that they don't want ESCOM to go the route of South African Airways. So we will protect ESCOM at all material cost. With regard to the issue of the step-aside rule, the special PGC, remember before we convened the special PGC, the regions had their regional general councils. I think in the morning you interviewed some of the regional secretaries. They also told you their positions with regard to the issue of the step-aside rule. But the Special Provincial General Council was very clear on the issue of the step-aside rule, that as Limpopo, we want to lobby and recommend. Remember, we still need to lobby other provinces so that the policy conference can recommend to the national conference for the scraping out of the step-aside rule. And that is our position as spokesperson. I think if there are other issues, allow maybe Comrade Rogers, who is the head of the policy in our province, to then also expand a bit, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you very much. Comrade Rogers is now going to proceed to give an. You might have realized that so far the provincial secretary has dealt with two aspects, being the cry as an organization against this continuous load shedding. It is already, or it has potential to reverse the democratic gains that already has been advanced by
and Comrade PS, Comrade Matashi. I think basically we gave the overview in terms of the policy positions to say that we wanted the 55th National Conference of the African National Congress to achieve game-changing measures that can truly renew and unite the ANC and rebuild the confidence in our social transformation, education, health, and so. What are the measures that we have to deal with? We were also concerned about the rising unemployment of poverty and inequality. So we felt that, like the Secretary has alluded to, that we need to come with the widespread measures to ensure that we transform the socio-economic landscape of our province, and to ensure that our people, the lives of our people are really implemented. That's how far we are in terms of the positions that we are going to deal with. And like what I said, the COVID-19 has resulted in significant socio-economic downturns at home and globally, but also the war in Ukraine and Russia has a negative impact in terms of your oil and food prices. And that's where the provinces to sponsor the very same view, because we have the constitution of the African National Congress, but also we have the constitution of the country, which I think one guidelines cannot supersede them because they are the supreme authority of this organization. We wanted to renew the organization and to inspire the people of South Africa to ensure that as the ANC, we are still the leader of the society and we are ready to continue to advance the national democratic revolution.
Thank you very much. You have heard that the leadership has reflected on a number of issues of living as well as the fuel. You have also heard that the leadership is very firm that leaders that are deployed in government to execute certain responsibility or to implement the agenda of the African National Congress will time to time be held liable in making sure that all this responsibility that is given to them, they make sure that they deliver basic service to our people and nothing else. And lastly, you have heard strongly that the organization is saying that this step-aside rule is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And what does the Constitution say? It tells us that any person that is charged is presumed, if there is a contradiction between laws, the Constitution takes precedence. And it is on that basis that we have the view that we'll present to the policy conference that let's review and step aside a rule. But besides, it has been inconsistently applied. There are some areas it is applied in this manner, in the other area in a different manner. And that is why it is giving an impression as if it is designed for specific leaders of the African National Congress. And that has denied the ANC more time to speak to service delivery issues that is on the ground so that we regain the public trust. The public trust of the South African will not be regained by removing Comrade Madaji into office. The public trust will be regained of the ANC in all levels of government are delivering basic service to our people. So it is in that context that we think that they be looked into. I'm now going to allow you time and space to ask questions. Ntate Moloto, you will start, and then Pelani, you will follow. Let's start with Moloto.
All right, thank you. From ENCA, just if there's a non-spending in municipalities, perhaps that should be considered to be misconduct, and people must be held accountable. This, in this case, how do you want them to be held accountable? Second question relates to currently adversely affected by this rule, specifically Ace Magashule, your suspended Secretary General, and maybe your former treasurer here in the province. Whether you will apply this, let's say the conference expunged, will they be eligible, particularly say Ace Magashule or whoever who wants to be elected during that very same national conference? Or will you say it doesn't apply retrospectively, those who were previously affected, that's it? If you can just clarify that process flow for us.
Yeah, thanks very much. Pelani, you may come in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pelani Pahadu from Newsroom Africa. I think the senior here has dealt decisively with the questions that I wanted to answer, but to have answered. But on the issue around the step aside that I want clarity on here is that when you say you want it expunged at this current format, are you firstly challenging as the ANC the 54th National Conference decision? Are you saying that it was ill-conceived of the ANC to decide on the step aside, as it were, or the previous, or the ANC president and ultimately the president of the country to speak to when he speaks about the energy crisis at 8 o'clock tonight?
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll now hand over to the leadership to respond. We'll start with the Provincial Secretary, Comrade Ruben Madaji. PS, you may now respond to some of the issues raised.
Yeah, there is an issue that there is a question which is saying how are we going to, which we don't even know. Even ESCOM can't even take us as members of public, as members of communities with regard to when is it going to end. Now, when we say you must hold them accountable, that we are having as a country, their relevance. They must help the communities, and they must help the country with the provision of energy. Now, if we can't get energy, then it means they are irrelevant, and therefore we must and get people who will then be able to take the country into confidence with regard to the issue of the electricity. With regard to issue on the terms, I think you want to understand the terms and conditions on the scrapping of the step-aside rule. The PGC dealt with a principle that the issue of the step-aside rule is not working. It's not working for our organization, because now we have diverted, we have veered away from the original resolution of the conference. Because the conference was how you got other comrades who have got issues with the Zondo Commission told that they are challenging the report, therefore they can't step aside. But you got other comrades who are also challenging certain offenses in courts, but they have been told to step aside. Remember, now we have moved away from the allegation. Now we are saying people who are charged. And remember, the original rule was saying the allegation and people who are charged. Now we have veered away from the allegation. And in our province, we have got two comrades who spent 2 years outside the structure by mere allegation. And the other one was not even charged, not even charged even now. And in the 9th PEC, she whole 2 years, she was outside, and there were no any other process that was being done or was being pursued to with regard to her stepping aside. There is a question which says, are we trying to challenge the resolution of the 54th National Conference? I think from time to time, as an organization, we review our resolution. Now, the process that we are in now, it's part of the process of reviewing and trying to re-engineer some of our resolution. And that is what we are doing. And hence, there is the National Policy Conference. The National Policy Conference is convened to also propose certain amendments on rules, and also to try and propose certain amendments. And that is what we are doing. And it will be very foreign if we were raising issues that are not part of our discussion documents. So we're raising issues that are part of our discussion document. What is our expectation with regard to the president? Expectation is that he's going to provide, as our leader, he's going to provide solutions to the challenges that our country is facing. And that is our expectation. He's going to speak to us, and he's going to provide solutions to the challenges that we are facing as a country. I think I've tried to deal with the question, but you can as well allow Comrade just to add.
No, thanks. I think the PS has done justice. It's like when you have appointed a service. It's like when you have appointed a service of a service provider. If one does not deliver, you get away with it. So the answer in uncertain term is that there is a need to dissolve the board ESCOM. And for two reasons. One, they are not able to resolve problems that are faced by the South Africans when they've been given the responsibility to do so. They have failed in that particular regard, and we shouldn't shy away. If they didn't fail, we wouldn't be in this crisis. If we had to be in this crisis, at least for a shorter time, it can't be indefinite. Now, as we speak, we don't have certainty to what is going to happen to this load shedding. It means it's going to persist forever and ever. And the worst part is that they also have not developed a proper messaging on how they take South African into confidence as and when there are these challenges. So PS is correct. They must just simply pack their bags and go. And the other issue that they've always been refusing to put it on the table is that since the CEO of ESCOM has taken over the management of that institution, we are just crawling from one crisis to the other. And before then Comrade Rogers comes in, is that it's up to conference to decide whether this rule must apply retrospectively or from the date such decision is taken. But according to the Congress movement, normally when decisions are taken at a national conference, its implementation normally comes after. But should the conference have a view that, look, because of this pain, because of this inconsistent with the constitution has taken place, we have the view that it should apply retrospectively. That is for the national conference to deal with, and we'll deal with that at that particular time. At the center of this resolution is that let us not be scared that the National Executive Committee of the ANC has extended this resolution, which is not what was said by the National Conference. The conference said, once you are implicated and once you are charged, but it was then scaled down that those that are implicated could still find their way out, and only those that are criminally charged. So it is in that context that the PGC is of the view that going to the policy conference, the step-aside principle must just actually be done away with. Comrade Rogers is now going to also add more voice on some of the 4 issues that you have raised.
Okay,
If you can start with this one of the process flow.
Okay, no, thanks very much. I think we are not creative or innovative in terms of the one of the state-owned entities, ESCOM in particular, because there is a Public Finance Management Act, which is quite explicit in terms of Section 51, which says that the board, as an executing authority, has to be held accountable in terms of discharging their fiduciary responsibilities. But also the Chief Executive Officer, in terms of Section 38 of the Public Finance Management Act, he has to take appropriate and effective measures in terms of ensuring that there is a clean governance or corporate governance in that regard. But also we are calling upon the shareholders. But that's a concern that is being raised by even our members on the ground, that they are worried. They are looking at us to provide the solution. And the solution that we are putting across is that let's in fact effect a corporate governance in that regard to ensure that they can turn around the situation there in ESCOM. The issue of the step aside, I think comrades have spoken about it. The issue here is that, comrades, if you can reckon, is that there are some calls, for instance, that the president must step aside. You can see that we are correct to say that this must not be used as a political gymnasium to deal with the factional battles that are there. But in terms of the universal law, there is no way in which it can be implemented retrospectively. The sooner that it's been taken, it means from there. But also the policy. The National Policy Conference is not going to take decision per se. They are only making some recommendation to the National Conference. It's only after the conference that if we lobby and canvass the support of other provinces and we get the buy-in, then they will be able to support us in that regard. I think basically that's why I wanted to add.
No, maybe let me as well try some addition with regard to the step aside. Remember, initially, comrades were allowed to be nominated, and then he said, and then reviewed, and another province, and at least with regard to our province, is that the decision was taken just a few weeks before we go to the conference. But I'm just saying, we are trying to explain to you and members of public how, and as well, then the NEC did the first amendment. Then there comes another second